I sat right there beside you. You didn't look my way. I spoke in quiet colors, but you turned into gray. I tried to be a comfort, I tried to be a home, but every time I needed you, I felt more alone. I was fading slowly right in front of you, but you never noticed, like I never mattered to you. You never saw me crying, even when I broke inside. I was screaming softly with nowhere left to hide. You held me like I'm nothing, like I'm easy to replace. I was right beside you, but you never saw my face. I memorized your silence, the way you pulled away. I blame myself for everything you never tried to say. I gave you all my pieces, you dropped them one by one, and I kept saying it's okay when you were already gone. I kept holding on to someone who let go. I kept loving deeper while you loved me less and slow. You never saw me crying, even when I broke inside. I was screaming softly with nowhere left to hide. You held me like I'm nothing, like I'm easy to replace. I was right beside you, but you never saw my face. Maybe I was too quiet, maybe I loved too much. Maybe you just never cared to feel my fragile touch. You never saw me break it, even when I fell apart. I was dying slowly with your hands around my heart. Now I'm just a memory you never tried to keep. I was right beside you while I learned to cry and sleep. I was there, I was there, but you never saw me. I made my voice smaller so you wouldn't walk away. I hid every feeling I was too scared to say. I learned how to bend, I learned how to break, just to be someone you might choose not to leave someday. I told myself, be gentle, don't give him a reason to go. So I buried every storm in me and let you never know. Was I soft enough to stay? Quiet enough for you? Did I love you the right way, like you wanted me to? I erased parts of myself just to make you remain. But no matter how I changed, you still walked away. I swallowed my tears, turned pain into a smile, said I'm okay. even see. I thought love was quiet, like holding hands in the dark, like staying when it's heavy, not tearing me apart. I thought love was patient, soft words, steady light, not leaving me in silence every single night. You said love was easy, but it hurt more every day. I kept trying to believe you while you slowly slipped away. I thought love was gentle, not something that would bruise, not something I'd be begging every night not to lose. I gave you my softness, but you handled it like pain. I thought love was gentle, but you proved me wrong again. You held me like a stranger, even when I cried. You looked at me like nothing while I broke inside. I waited for your kindness, for something warm and true, but every time I reached for you, I felt less of you. I kept calling it forever while you called it just for now. I didn't see the ending, but I feel it breaking now. I thought love was gentle, not something that would tear, not something that would leave me like I was never there. I gave you all my fragile, every piece I couldn't hide. I thought love was gentle, but it hurt me every time. Maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe I just wanted more. Maybe love was never gentle, not the way it was before. I thought love was gentle, but it left me on my knees. Turned my heart to something that I barely recognize as me. Now I'm scared of something I once believed was safe. I thought love was gentle, but it couldn't make you stay. I thought it was safe, I thought it was kind, but love was never gentle with mine. You stopped saying I love you, but I heard it anyway. In the empty conversations you kept pushing away. You sat right there beside me, but felt a world apart. I tried to read your quiet like it wouldn't break my heart. Every word you didn't say echoed in my mind. I kept searching for your voice, but there was nothing left to find. Your silence was loud, it screamed through the room, said everything you couldn't, like I'm losing you. You didn't have to hurt me, you didn't eyes that wouldn't meet. Like loving me was something you were trying to delete. I filled in all the blanks with the worst parts of my fear. You never said goodbye, but I felt it disappear. I kept begging for a sentence, just one honest truth, but you're quite cut deeper than anything you could do. Your silence was loud, it shattered every piece. Say you don't matter now, without a single speech. You didn't have to leave me, you didn't have to try. Your silence was enough to slowly let me die. Maybe words would hurt less, at least I'd understand. But you chose to disappear while still holding my hand. Your silence was louder than any goodbye. It told me you were done without even asking why. Now I hear it in my sleep, every tear, every doubt. Your silence was the moment I knew you were walking out. You said nothing, and I said I didn't raise my voice, I didn't make a scene. I just stood there shaking, trying not to scream. I asked you very softly, can you stay tonight? You looked at me like leaving was already in your mind. I thought if I was gentle, you might change your heart. So I hid my desperation while I fell apart. I begged you in whispers so you wouldn't pull away. I broke down in silence just to make you stay. I was on my knees inside, but you couldn't see. I begged you in whispers, and you still left me. I said it's okay again, even when it wasn't true. I made it easy for you to keep hurting me like you do. I try to sound so steady, like I wasn't losing breath, but every quiet please I said felt like a little death. I kept hoping someday you hear the pain I hide, but you only heard the silence. Why? I cried inside. I begged you in whispers, hoping you would care, hoping you would notice I was breaking there. fragile truth. I begged you in whispers, but I never mattered to you. I said please, so softly. You didn't even turn around. You were right beside me, but I felt miles away, like I was talking to a shadow that wouldn't ever stay. You looked through me so easily, like I was air in your space, and I kept pretending I didn't see it on your face. I tried to reach you gently, like you were still the same, but you kept getting colder without ever saying my name. You let me feel alone while I was still with you, like I was holding nothing but pretending it was true. You didn't have to leave me to make me feel this pain. You let me feel alone, and I loved you just the same. I saved you in my silence, even when you didn't care. I kept believing something was still waiting there, but every time I reached out, you slipped a little more, and I was standing in a love that didn't exist anymore. I kept saying it's okay, like it wouldn't break me down, but loneliness was louder when you were still around. You let me feel alone without ever saying why, like I was slowly fading right in front of your eyes. I didn't need you gone to feel like I was lost. You let me feel alone, and I paid the cost. Maybe I was just invisible. Maybe you were already gone. Maybe I was loving someone who had moved on all alone. You let me feel alone while I held on so tight. You were never really there, even when you stayed the night. Now I understand the truth. I was loving on my own. You didn't have to leave. You already let me feel alone. You were there, but you weren't, and that was worse than gone. I used to think it was normal to feel this kind of pain, to wait for your attention, like waiting for rain. I called it just a rough phase. I called it love's design, but I was slowly learning you were never really mine. I kept fixing every wound you never tried to see. I thought that love meant staying even when it's killing me. But love shouldn't hurt like this. It shouldn't break me down. It shouldn't make me feel like I'm always losing ground. I gave you all my softness and you turned it into scars. Love shouldn't hurt like this, but it does when you're who you are. You never said you're sorry. You never even cared. You watched me fall apart like I wasn't even there. I learned to call it normal, to swallow all my pain. But normal isn't crying every night in vain. I kept pretending maybe it was just a phase, but love kept getting colder in 1,000 different ways. But love shouldn't hurt like this. It shouldn't make me bleed. It shouldn't feel like begging for something I don't need. I gave you all my healing and you turned it into war. Love shouldn't hurt like this, but it always hurt me more. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I stayed too long thinking pain meant something good. But love shouldn't hurt like this. It shouldn't feel like dying. It shouldn't sound like silence while I'm inside here crying. I loved you like it was sacred, but you loved me like a scar. Love shouldn't hurt like this, but that's exactly what you are. I thought it was love, but it was just pain in disguise. You didn't even fight for me when I started to fade. You watched me slip away like it was already made. I stood there in the middle of a love that wasn't true, and somehow I was the only one still reaching out for you. I thought I meant something to the way you breathe, but you let me disappear like I was easy to leave. I was easy to lose, like I never mattered at all. Easy to forget when I started to fall. You didn't even try to hold on to me tight. I was easy to lose in the middle of the night. I replay every moment, looking for a sign that I was worth the effort to keep you by my side. But every memory I touch just breaks a little more. You were already leaving before I reached the door. I kept waiting for a reason for you to turn around, but silence was the answer that you never made a sound. I was easy to lose, like I wasn't even real, like my love meant Maybe I was too small. Maybe I was just someone you never loved at all. I was easy to lose, but I wasn't ready to go. You let me fall in silence and never let me know. Now I'm just a memory you won't even trace. I was easy to lose, and you erased my face. Easy to lose, easy to forget, easy for you, not for me yet. I saw it in your eyes first, before you even spoke. The distance in your presence, like something slowly broke. I tried to bring you closer, but you stayed far away. Like loving me was something you didn't wanna say. I kept making excuses for the way you drifted out, but silence doesn't lie, and now I know what it's about. You chose not to care, even when I stayed, even when I gave you everything I made. I was right there falling, and you looked away. You chose not to care, and I had nothing left to say. I held on to your promise, like it still meant something real. But promises don't matter when you stop trying to feel. You didn't have to hurt me, you didn't have to stay. You just let me love you while you slipped away. I thought maybe someday you'd come back to me, but you were already gone. Emotionally, you chose not to care. That's the truth I see. I was holding on to someone who wasn't holding me. No fight, no goodbye, just a quiet decay. You chose not to care, and I faded away. Maybe it was simple, maybe it was clear. You stopped loving me long before I felt you near. You chose not to care, and I loved you anyway. I turned my pain into silence so I wouldn't scare you away. But now I understand it, what I didn't want to see. You chose not to care, and that chose the end of me. You chose not to care, and I finally understand. I learned how to cry without making a sound, so you wouldn't notice I was breaking down. I smiled when you looked at me, like nothing was wrong. but inside I was shaking. All alone, I pressed my pain inside my chest until I couldn't breathe, and still I said I'm fine, so you'd never see. I was crying without sound, drowning in my mind. You never saw the tears I left behind. I was falling into nothing while standing next to you, crying without sound, like I always do. I turned my heartbreak silent, like it was my fault to feel, like love was something hidden, not something meant to heal. You never asked me questions, you never looked too deep, so I kept all my sadness just for me to keep. Every night I broke apart, but no one heard the fall, because I learned to suffer without saying anything at all. I was crying without sound, hiding every tear, living in a silence only I could hear. You thought I was okay, but I was not that strong, crying without sound for far too long. If I cried out louder, would you finally see? Or would you still just look away, like you always did with me? I was crying without sound, but it hurt the same inside. Every silent breakdown, every tear I tried to hide. Now I don't even know if I can feel it all. Crying without sound was my loudest fall. No sound, just me breaking quietly. I knew it wasn't working, I felt it every day, but I kept on pretending you would change your way. I held on to the version of you I wished was real, while you were slowly showing you'd already let go of how I feel. I ignored every warning, every sign you gave. I called it love and stayed there, like I was meant to be your slave. I stayed too long in a love that was already gone. I kept believing in us while you were moving on. Now I see clearly what I didn't want to know. I stayed too long and let myself go. You didn't have to break me, I did it on my own, by holding on to nothing, by calling pain my home. I made excuses for you, like it was all okay. But silence was the answer you never had to say. I thought if I just loved you a little more each day, you'd finally start to see me. But you were never gonna stay. I stayed too long in a place I didn't belong. I kept rewriting endings to make you feel less wrong. But truth was always waiting in every tear I hide. I stayed too long and lost myself inside. Maybe I was scared of leaving, maybe I feared the end. But staying hurt much more than walking away ever did then. I stayed too long, and I paid for every night of pretending I was okay while I was losing my life. Now I understand the lesson I never wanted shown. I stayed too long and ended up alone. Too long, too quiet, too gone inside. It wasn't one moment, it wasn't one lie. It was 1,000 small cuts I learned to deny. A colder hello, a shorter goodbye, and me making excuses just to survive. You didn't have to shatter me all at once that day. You just kept taking pieces until I faded away. You broke me slowly without even trying to see. Every little distance was killing me quietly. I didn't notice at first how much I was bleeding through. You broke me slowly, and I still loved you. You didn't raise your voice, you didn't slam the door. You just stopped being someone who loved me anymore. And I kept on holding to what used to be while you were already gone emotionally. I thought I was imagining the way you drifted out, but love turns into silence when it's filled with doubt. You broke me slowly, piece by piece each day. Never enough to stop me from begging you to stay. I mistook your distance for something I could fix. You broke me slowly, and I got lost in it. Maybe that's why it hurts more than if you had just left. Because I kept believing in something that wasn't there yet. You broke me slowly, and I didn't see it coming. I thought we were still me slowly, and I broke too. With you, you're still there, but not really. Your eyes went quiet, like lights turning off in a room. No warning, just gone too soon. I tried to read your face, but it wasn't there anymore. Just a shadow of someone I was sure I knew before. What's wrong? I asked you slow. You said nothing, but I already know. It was the night you changed, and you didn't even try to stay. You were standing right beside me, but you drifted away. I held on to a ghost that looked like you that night. It was the night you changed, and you left me inside. Your smile felt wrong, like a copied sound, like you were already not really around. I reached for your hand, but it didn't feel warm, just something pretending to still belong. I kept thinking maybe it would come back, but something in you never came back. It was the night you changed, and I felt it in my bones. You were sitting next to me, but I was alone. Every second got colder, every breath felt strange. It was the night you changed, and nothing stayed the same. Maybe I imagined it, maybe I didn't, but I swear you left before you finished living. It was the night you changed, and I couldn't hold you back. You disappeared in slow motion. No fight, no cry, just silence taking over everything we had. It was the night you changed, and I never got you back. You were here, and then you went, and I stayed, listening to nothing. You were still here, just not with me. Your hands felt different, like they didn't belong. I held on tighter, but something was wrong. Your eyes kept drifting somewhere I can't go. You said nothing changed, but I already know. I tried not to feel it, I tried not to see, but something between us was leaving me. I felt you let go before you walked away. In the quiet spaces, and what you wouldn't say, you were kiss me like memory, not like before. Like I was something you don't need anymore. I searched for your heartbeat, but it wasn't the same. Just an empty rhythm calling my name. I told myself, breathe, maybe it will pass. But love doesn't disappear this fast. I felt you let go, in the way you pulled away, in the silence growing every single day. I was still believing you were still mine. I felt you let go, one moment at a time. Maybe I imagined it, maybe I didn't, but I swear you left before you finished it. I felt you let go, and I couldn't stop it now. You were slipping through me, and I don't know how. No goodbye, no ending, just a quiet fall. I felt you let go before you left at all. You were here, then you weren't, and I stayed holding nothing. Never mine, never was, just me holding on. I kept calling you forever, you called me for a while. I built a home in your arms, you just stayed for a mile. I thought I felt you deeply, like something real and true, but I was just a moment that meant nothing much to you. I held on to your promises like they were set in stone, but now I see the truth. I was always alone. Your love was never mine. I was just passing through, holding on to something that never belonged to me or you. I gave you all my heart, but it was never a fair line. Your love was never mine. I just believed it was mine. You looked at me like comfort, but not like something to keep. Like I was just a feeling that fades when it gets deep. I tried to be your always, but you were never that. You kept your heart guarded, and I didn't notice that. I kept thinking someday you would finally stay, but I was loving someone who was already halfway. Your love was never mine. It was never meant to be. I was just holding on to a version I you. Every fragile string. Now I'm left with nothing but a heart I can't define. Your love was never mine, but I wish it was mine. Never mine, never was. Just me holding on. I see it now. I just didn't then. There were signs in the silence I chose not to read. Little spaces between us I called what we need. You stopped reaching slowly, I kept reaching the same, trying to hold on to something already out of frame. I told myself, don't overthink, don't let it fall apart. But truth was in the distance, growing in your heart. I saw the truth too late, when it was already gone. I was holding on to us, you moving on. I kept calling it love, you were changing your state. I saw the truth too late, and now I can't escape. You gave me just enough to keep me close to you, but never enough to feel like any of it was true. I stayed inside the moment you were leaving behind. I was trying to believe while you made up your mind. I thought time would fix it, I thought we would be fine, but time only showed me you were never really mine. I saw the truth too late, hidden in your eyes, in every quiet distance, in every soft disguise. I was the last to know what I didn't want to face. I saw the truth too late, written in your space. I don't blame the ending, it was always there. I just wish I noticed before it disappeared. I saw the truth too late, but I'm learning how to let go of something I was holding that never wanted to grow. Now I'm standing in the silence, trying to recreate who I was before you, before it got too late. I see it now, I see everything. I waited, you didn't move. I was holding everything you were letting go, trying to keep us steady, but you never let it show. I stayed in every moment you were drifting out. I kept believing in us, you lived without the doubt. I gave you all the reasons made you look like love, even when it hurt. Turned every little lie into something that could work. I thought maybe one day you'd finally turn around, but you watched me fall apart without making a sound. I stayed a little longer than I should have stayed, but hope doesn't mean anything when love starts to fade. You didn't even try, you didn't even care. I was losing pieces of me, and you were never there. I would have given everything just to feel alive, but you didn't even try. You didn't even try. Maybe it wasn't me, maybe it was you. Maybe I was holding on to something never true. You didn't even try, and now I finally see it wasn't love between us, just what it did to me. Now I'm letting go slowly. I'm what I can't revive. You didn't even try, and I survived. I survived without you. I tell myself it's over, like it makes it true, but every quiet second leads me back to you. I try to lose the memory in anything I find, but you're still in the silence, still inside my mind. I thought time would fix it, I thought I'd be okay, but every night I whisper what I couldn't say. I'm still calling your name in the middle of the night, like you're gonna answer, like you'll make it right. I know you're not listening, I know you've changed, but I'm still calling your name, still calling your name. I see you in the shadows, in everything I do. Every song, every silence feels a little like you. I try to keep moving, but I don't get far. Something in me still exactly where you are. I keep replaying moments, trying to understand how something felt forever, slipped right through my hands. I'm still calling your name, even knowing it's done, like I'm it's just habit, maybe it's just pain. Maybe I don't know who I am without your name. I'm still calling your name, but you don't turn around. I'm speaking to the silence. There's no answer now. I'm learning how to lose you, but I'm not the same. I'm still calling your name, still calling your name. Your name's still here, still mine to say. I shouldn't feel this, but I do. I told myself I'm done now, I said it out loud, but your shadow keeps coming through every crowd. I keep the lights low so I don't see your face, but you're still in the silence, in every empty space. I try to move forward, I try to erase, but healing feels slower when you still have a place. I hate that I miss you after everything we lost. Like my heart didn't notice what it finally cost. You're gone, but you're still here, in a quiet kind of pain. I hate that I miss you again and again. I see you in reflections and moments that don't stay, like memory is rewinding the things you took away. I tell myself it's over, like that will make it true, but every part of moving on still somehow leads to you. I thought it would get easier with every passing night, but missing you just learned how to stay alive. I hate that I miss you when I know it shouldn't be. Like my heart keeps forgetting what you did to me. You're fading echo that I can't unchain. I hate that I miss you like it's my name. Maybe it's not love anymore, maybe it's just habit now. Maybe letting go means not knowing how. I hate that I miss you, but it's still inside my skin, like a quiet confession I keep folding in. I should be moving forward, but I stay the same. I hate that I miss you and whisper your name. Your name's still there, even when you're gone. I try to hold on, but there's nothing left. I gave you every version of who I used to be, until there was no more of me left in me. I stayed until the silence felt like a second skin, and everything I was slowly disappeared within. I don't know where I ended or where you began, just pieces of a story I can't understand. There's nothing left to me, just echoes in my chest of every kept on loving you while losing her own light. I thought love meant forever, but it meant letting go of everything I was for someone who won't know. I tried to rebuild me from pieces on the floor, but every time I start, I'm missing something more. There's nothing left of me, just a shadow where I stood, trying to be enough when I never really could. You walked away so easy, like it meant nothing at all. There's nothing left of me after the fall. Maybe I gave too much, maybe I stayed too long, maybe loving you is where I went wrong. There's nothing left of me but the sound of what I was, a quiet kind of empty you never noticed was. Now I am just a memory you'll never have to name. There's nothing left of me but the pain. Nothing left, just quiet, just gone. Never really said it, but I felt it anyway. You left in pieces, not in one clean break, just slow disappearing. I couldn't escape. No final words, no moment to hold, just silence growing colder than I was told. I kept waiting for something, a reason, a sign, but you were already gone before I drew the line. Goodbye without closure is the hardest to heal, because nothing is ending, but everything feels real. No final moment, no last goodbye, just you walking away while I stayed inside. I replay every second, trying to find the truth, but silence doesn't answer what I love. couldn't deny. Maybe closure is a story I'll never get to hear. Maybe letting go means living with unclear. Goodbye without closure, and I'm still holding on to something unfinished that's already gone. No ending, no mercy, just a quiet divide. Goodbye without closure, still inside. No goodbye, just gone. Just you, not mine anymore. This is where it ends, but it doesn't feel like it. I learned how to survive you without making a sound, like pain was something holy I had to keep down. I built my world around you, then watched it disappear. And still I kept on breathing through every silent tear. There's no dramatic ending, no final release, just a quiet kind of breaking that never lets me sleep. I'll cry quietly forever in places no one sees, where your memory still lingers inside of me. No one will ever know it, how deep it goes inside. I'll cry quietly forever and call it my life. I stopped asking for answers, I stopped asking for why. Some loves don't get closure, they just slowly die. You don't have to hear it, you don't have to stay. I learned how to love you in a vanishing way. Maybe I was too gentle, maybe I held on too tight, but I loved you in silence through every night. I'll cry quietly forever, but no one will know how much of me is missing. Now that you're gone, you left without noticing what you took from my life. I'll cry quietly forever, out of sight. Maybe this is healing, maybe this is pain.